My ex's therapist reached out to ask me to forgive my ex so he could get closure. Instead, I decided to get some long-awaited revenge. A few years ago I moved away from my hometown to get away from a lot of toxicity. I haven't heard from anyone in all this time. Until now. I got a phone call from someone claiming to be my abusive ex's therapist. They told me they were reaching out to contact me as my ex was trying to make amends with the people he wronged, and couldn't move on until he got forgiveness from me. He asked me if I was free the next Tuesday at 5, to be on their Zoom call for their weekly session. I laughed and asked if this was a joke, and the therapist provided his name and told me to look him up, as this was real and not a laughing matter. This was a chance to help someone move on and heal. I asked him if he knew what my ex had done to me. He said he wasn't at liberty to say, as everything my ex told him was confidential. I told him he was a creep and to F off because if anyone deserved closure it was me, and not the Jack A who ruined my life. If he was really a therapist then he should know that I have trauma from the experience, and shouldn't be placed in a situation that would only harm me. Why would I ever agree to not only meet with the man who manipulated, cheated, lied, and actually sent me to the hospital after I tried to stand up to him, but to also forgive him? To his face? The therapist went on to explain that my comfortability wasn't his problem, only the healing process for his actual paying client mattered. That was his duty as a professional. I was appalled by his audacity and debated on hanging up, until I realized I could have some petty revenge. I ended up agreeing to the meeting, and even called out of work for it. During the weekend I spent hours making a list of every single thing he did to me, then narrowed it down to only the worst things. We were high school sweethearts, and were on and off a lot. I'm not even sure how many times he cheated on me, but he was my comfort place. Until one day I called him out on his bull. He got so angry he punched me until there was a small puddle of blood on the floor. His rings had cut through my skin, and I had a few broken bones. I was in the hospital for weeks. While I was recuperating, he went around telling everyone that I was in the hospital because I tried to off myself. He told all of my friends and family that I had been cheating on him, and hurting him for a while. He made himself out to be the victim, saying as soon as he tried to call me out, I viciously attacked him, and he struggled to get away, accidentally knocking me out. All the other injuries I had must have come from me harming myself. By the time I was out of the hospital, everyone I loved thought I was some abusive, self-mutilating monster. I went into a horrible depression, and even my parents didn't want me around. That is why I moved away. And now this stranger called and asked me to forgive that trash? No. I had a much better idea. When I got on the Zoom meeting, and I saw my ex for the first time in years, I felt such an onslaught of fear I wanted to throw my laptop away and move to a different city again. I had a moment of doubt towards my plan, and worried that if I went through with it, he might try to hunt me down. I shoved that feeling down and said hi to them both. The therapist got right into it, and said he was glad I could make it and help my ex achieve peace within himself, so he can move on. My ex even said thank you for accepting my apology. The MF hadn't even said sorry yet, and I doubted he was going to. So I put my plan into action. I asked if I could list the things my ex wished to apologize for, so it was all out on the table, and he wouldn't feel guilt later down the road, randomly remembering something else that happened between us, and relapsing. The therapist thought it was a lovely idea, so I shared my screen with my list. I read a lot of things off, and skimmed over a few. By the end I asked my ex if he remembered and agreed that he had done all these things to me. He said he had. He wouldn't have phrased some of the things the same way, but everything was accurate. He then told me he was happy I came to my senses and decided to forgive him. That's when I dropped the hammer. I said, "Oh, I never agreed to forgive you. I just agreed to show up today. You never even asked for an official apology anyway, and if you had, I still would have said no. But I will thank you, as I now have a recording of you admitting to everything you accused me of doing so long ago. If you ever try to contact me again, even through other people, I will not only post it everywhere, but send it to your friends and family. Both of you need to leave me alone, and by the way, you don't deserve forgiveness. I hope you rot in hell." I left the Zoom chat and had a huge panic attack after. I felt so much relief by the end though. For the first time in years, I finally felt safe. I felt like I was the one who won this time around, and I hope to never be in another situation like this again.